But over a stretch of 187 years, yesterday, the 5th day of the new month, of the new year, all the men dies on the same day. And when we made the decision to walk with God, my family and I knelt down before God and said, Lord, as far as we are concerned, we are generation 1. We walk with Jesus. I don't care about the past. That is not easy, because suddenly all my aunties and uncles, they want to kill me. Why because they said di mo tiền na wala kang utang na loob di si poy na di tati sa tiền ko di si ki tùy tai buhay na di ko jeji ka. We you turn your back on our clan. They thought that when I accepted Jesus, I turned my back on my clan. They thought that when I accepted Jesus, I became a worse son, a worse brother, a worse relative. And by God's grace, over time, they realized that, how come, despite our threats and insults, He continues to love us? When we malign Him and cast at Him, He just looked at us and smiled. I was not always a good guy. What the binondo si pai tuye. I was one of the gang leaders. Was the I was with Kung Fu school, and every night after our class, we would just hang out and waiting for snatchers to pass by, and we'll beat the daylight out of him. That was me. On one side of Chinatown, the boundary was recto. On this side, Gandara, Soler, all the way to Ongping, Tetuan was my territories. On the other side, the gang leader later on became my brother-in-law. That's why when I was courting my wife, he could not say no to me. He could not cross over. That was my background. And yet, something happened. When I allow my dilapidated hope to be used for Jesus to come in, I was surprised that He could use a bad life, worth only 3,000 pesos, unwanted child. I could have grown up bitter and angry. But I did not. Look at my family. Do they look angry? Do they look bitter? Do they look constipated? Hindi naman, di ba? They're very happy. In fact, our family is so close, even when one of our youngest was in Nepal doing missions work, and we were having family devotion, we get him online and have a family picture with him on the cell phone, so that the family could be complete. This is our family with my mother-in-law and my sister and brother-in-law. We do that not only on special occasions like Fil-Chi or Kailan ng Nitaw as Kenny. We do that whenever we have the chance. Why? We don't get tired of each other. Something changed. You know, it's very un-Chinese, they said. But actually, if you read Chinese culture and study Chinese culture and philosophy, Chinese culture is the only culture that values family. Our problem is we don't know how to express it. The way to describe is strict father and a loving mother. Somehow we have stereotyped a father that the father should be detached, should be strict. Your job is only to provide. And you should never, you know, my father, when my father was alive, not even once had my father kissed me or told me he loved me. But whenever I ask for money, he will give me money. But he would never say that. Not once have my mother and my wife can vouch for that, would say anything positive about me. Because Chinese believe, you don't publicly compliment them, they might get big-headed. they might become proud. So they always diminish the value of their children. That was how I was brought up. And yet, I could have said that I never had the opportunity. I don't have a template to follow. But why am I so different? Because somebody else is using my life. Somebody else is now using my boat. Recently, last month, my daughter wrote a blog about me. He said my father is the most Asian because he knows all the classical Chinese and all the art, and yet the most un-Asian because he's so expressive. He would tell us he loves us. Even now that we have our own family, he would kiss us and tell us and assure us and pray with us. What happened here? When you let Jesus your boat, your life, your identity, you will not become less Chinese. You will become a better Chinoy. You will become a better businessman. You will become better, a better husband. As my wife, we have been married for pushing 34 years. For 34 years, I traveled a lot. I never failed, no matter where I go. I would text her, I would leave notes and letters, I would call her every single day. More than 33 years. I would tell her every day, at least once a day. But almost always more than once a day. I will look at her, I will just tell her, I'll look at her and tell her, "Hon, I love you and I thank God for you." Now, how many Chinese would tell me that they do that? Diba nakukornihan tayo? Kung pala na hindi ako suway, titipit chin, titipit mua, titipit kayo, I love you, kuya, ay. Hanchiw diyaw lo, so paise kong la. And if our wives would tell us, "I love you," we would summon all our manhood and say, "Me too." Hanggang dyan lang. Then so paise, piyaw tatlan, simlay, ikam siwla. Tan si tengdan yaso tilan isinbin. Lan cinci dia ni, lan kangkang, lan gina, lan kangkang, lan tai, piyaw tat. I even tell my mother-in-law, I love her, and she knows that's miracle. You can be a better husband. You can be a better father. You can be a better son-in-law. You can be a better wife. You can be a better child if you allow the Lord to use your boat. Our children grow up very close. Again, people say, "Your children are so Chinese. How can they be close to each other?" Siblings cannot be the best of friends, but they do. They would pray for each other and bless each other. This is the picture when our eldest son got married. And all the siblings said, "We want to bless them. We want to pray over them." You can never force your children to do what they don't want. And yet they were the ones who asked for that. Why? Because Jesus is in the boat of our family as well. As I said earlier, all my 3 children were married. My daughter was the first one to get married. My second son was the second one to get married. Our eldest son was the third one to get married. And they came to me and said that, they did not talk among themselves. They came to me and they asked that they given the honor of having me officiate their wedding. I said, "No, you don't officiate your own children's wedding. Go to the pastor, go to the pastor." And they said, "That, you know us. You led us to Christ. You love us. You taught us. You did not just teach us verbally. You demonstrated the lifestyle of faith. That you may not be our pastor in the church, but you are the pastor of our house. Please give us the honor of having you officiate our wedding." I don't know if my 4th son will do that when it's his time, but the 3 of them, and I have the privilege to marry them. Not because I insist, most of the time if it's Chinese, If you don't have to invite your father, the more, the better. But because most of the time, Papa is the one paying for the bill, so you have no choice but to invite your Papa. But in that case, this is a big thing that all the relatives were scratching their head, all the friends were scratching their. How could that be? How could you force your children to invite you and ask you to? I said, I did not force them. I tried to beg off, but they almost begged me. He said, why? I said, because I do not knock them about faith. I live faith. I demonstrated.